Yeah, first concept in today, last in this year, this is the last class. So next year we will meet again. So today first last concept, bug tracking. Bug tracking. Today first concept to bug tracking. First of all, what is bug tracking we will discuss. Before going to discuss bug tracking, first of all we should know what are the main differences between bug, defect, and failure, and error, and fault, and error. So first, what is bug? If it is in the development area, we will call bug. If it is in the testing area, we will call defect. Next, error. While writing the Java code, if it is any problems or mistakes is there, that is called error. So error code is correct, but it is not executing. So that is called fault. Next, failure. After installing the application into client environment, if it is not working in the client environment, that is called failure. So in the development area, we will call bug. If it is testing area,
Testing area
we will
defect.
call defect. Error. So
Customer client.
we wrote code. So in that code we have some mistakes. That is called error. Next, fault.
Who's are the like tester?
Yes. So fault means we wrote code error. We wrote code right correctly, but it is not executing. So that is called fault. And the failure means after installing the application
Customer.
into client
Yes.
environment, if it is not working, that is called failure. Client environment. Right. Today first concept bug tracking, sir. So very important concept. Whenever you are facing the interview, that time they may ask you like, just tell me you are bug tracking. So just we should tell only bug tracking. So what is bug tracking? We will discuss today. First, FRS. FRS means functional requirement specification. They will send one set of copy developers, another set of copy testers. First of all, they will send one set of copy developers, another set of copy testers. So first they will send one set of copy developers, another set of copy testers. So based on the first, they are sending to developers and to testers. Based on the customer requirements, they will divide the whole project into some modules. So that is called a high level designing. They will divide the whole project into some modules. So that is called a high level designing. Each and every module divided into some sub modules. That is called low level designing. That is called low level design. Each and every sub module divided into build wise, and they will sending to testing department as a build one. They are sending to testing department as build one. So these are the testers. So whenever the build getting from development to department, we will test the application based on the customer requirement. This build is properly developed or not, we will do testing. If it is developed, stop testing. If it is developed, stop testing. If it is developed, stop testing. Already we got FRS. So based on the FRS, this build is properly developed or not, we will do testing. If it is developed, stop testing. If it is not developed, then we will give the status new. We will give the status new, and we will raise the defect to developers. Then developers will think, is this really defect or not? If they feel defect, then they will give the status open. They will give the status open, and they will rectify. Then they will rectify or fix it. We can say rectify or fix it. They will rectify or fix it, and they are sending to testing department as build to. As build to. Then testers will do testing based on the customer requirement. This build is properly rectified or verified. If it is rectified, closed, we can give the status closed. If it is rectified, we can give the status closed. If it is not rectified, once again we will give the status reopen. Reopen, and we'll raise the defect to developers. Then developers will think, is this really defect or not? If they feel yes, then they will give the status open, and they will rectify the problem, and once again they will sending to testing department as build 3. Sometimes developers also confused. Sometimes developers also confused. So is this defect or not? They are also confusing. In that situation, they will give status hold. Sometimes they will give status rejected. Rejected means this is not at all defect. If they feel this is not at all defect, then they will give status rejected or tester's error or tester's mistake. Tester's error or tester's mistake. Sometimes they will give status as for design. As for design. Sometimes they will give status as for design. Sometimes they will give status as for design. That means as per design means, so this is the new requirement given by the customer. For example, in the FRS, customer said two buttons in the application, but developers three buttons in the application, three buttons in the application. So we will raise the defect to developers. So, sir, actually I said two buttons, but you developed three buttons. Actually, customer said two buttons, but developers developed three buttons. So then we will raise the defect to developers. Then they will give explanation. Actually, what happened? Customer middle of the project, customer came and he gave requirement. That's the reason we developed like this. So that is called as for design. That is called as for design. That is called as for design. So they will not give you any explanation. Simply they will say only as for design. As for design means based on the customer requirements only we did this one. So actually we got FRS. He wanted two buttons in the application. He mentioned, but right now. So they developers developed three buttons. So we will raise the defect to developers. They will give only one explanation as for design. So as for design means newly customer requirement added. As for design means newly customer requirement added. That's the reason we developed. So here we have six statuses, sir. We have six statuses. One is new. Second one is open. Third one rejected. Fourth one reopen. Fifth one new, open, rejected, reopen, fixed, closed. These are the six statuses.
What about stop? Stop.
New status given by tester. Open status given by developers. Rejected given by developers.
Developers.
Reopen given by testers. Fixed given by developers. Closed status given by testers. So we have six
There is no
status.
status for stop. Stop.
Which one? Stop. That is not status. So based on the first, so once again I will explain you, sir. First FRS document they will send one set of copy developers, another set of copy testers. So first, based on the customer requirement, they will divide the whole project into some modules. Each and every module divided into some sub modules. Each and every sub module divided into build wise, and they will sending to testing department. This is the first build they are sending to testing department. Then testers will do testing based on the customer requirement. Already we have customer requirements FRS. Based on the customer requirement, this build is really rectified. Really developed or not, we will do testing. If it is developed, stop testing. If it is developed, stop testing. So this is not status. So we will stop the process. If it is not developed, then we will give the status new and we will raise the defect to developers. Then developers will think, is this really defect or not? If they feel yes, then they will give the status open and they will rectify the problem or fix it. Rectify the problem or fix it, we can say. And they will sending to testing department as build to. Then testers once again they will do testing based on the customer requirement. This bill is really rectified or verified. If it is rectified, we can give the status closed. If it is not rectified, we will give the status reopen. We will give the status reopen and we will raise the defect to developers. So developers once again they will do testing. So if it is really defect, then they will rectify and they will sending to testing department as build 3. as build 3. Sometimes developers also confused. In that situation, they will give status hold. Is this defect or not? They are also confused. In that situation, they will give status hold. Sometimes they will give status rejected. Rejected means, so this is not at all defect. This is not at all defect. This is the tester's mistake. So actually this is not defect. So if they feel this is not at all defect, then they will give the status rejected. Sometimes they will give status as per design. As per design means based on the customer requirements only we developed. So for example, in the FRS, customer is said two buttons in the application. This FRS, the software company people will send one set of copy developers, another set of copy testers. So but actually developers developed three buttons in the application, they are sending to testing department. We will treat as it is a defect. Why? Because we got FRS. In the FRS, customer is said two buttons in the application, but application contains three buttons. We will raise the defect to developers. Then they will give status as for design. As for design means newly customer came and he added one more requirement. That's the reason we developed. That's the reason we developed. So this is bug tracking. This is bug tracking. Okay, right. One second, sir. This is the bug tracking. Next we can continue. One second. Profile template. Defect profile template. So we got one defect, we need to raise the defect. If you do WhatsApp message or mail, they will not accept. Compulsory, we should follow one format. That is called defect profile template. Defect profile
Profile.
template. DPT. So if you want to raise the defect, compulsory we should use one defect profile template or quality center or QC, quality center or Bugzilla or Jira. So I will teach you quality center, sir. I will teach you quality center. So defect profile template. We need to raise the defect through quality center. We will raise the defect. So I will teach you quality center. But small company they are using defect profile template. Small companies. So in this defect profile template, we have some fields like defect ID, defect description, defect description, steps for reproducibility, submitter, date of submission, version number, build number, assigned to. We have some fields: defect ID, defect description, defect ID, defect description, steps for reproducibility, submitter, date of submission, version number, build number, assigned to. Defect ID 01, defect description, defect to description, add button not working, add not working, add not working. So steps for reproducibility. What steps we followed? That steps we should mention here. Steps for reproducibility. Have taken 10 in the place of
X
value
value
1.
in value 1.
I have
Yeah.
taken 10 in the place of value 1. I have taken 20 in the place of value 2. If I click on add button,
Not working.
add button, if I click on add button, it is showing 40. It is showing 40. So just like we should mention. So submitter Akhil. Date of submission 31st 12 2016. Version number 8. Build number 3. This fields filled by test engineers. This fields filled by test engineers.
Yeah.
Last assigned field filled by development lead. Development lead will fill the field. Development lead. Development lead will fill the field. Assigned to field filled by development lead. Assigned field filled by development lead. Assigned to field filled by development lead. So this is the concept of defect profile template. So STLC contains 6 phases: test planning, test development, test execution, result analysis, bug tracking, and reporting is over. Right. So pending concept. So first concept, pending concept, test design techniques. Very, very important concept, test design techniques. Test design techniques. There are two techniques. What do you mean by technique? A complex task solved by very simple way. So that's why that is called technique. There are two techniques available in manual testing. One is BVA. Second one is ECP. BVA means boundary value analysis. BVA means
Boundary value analysis.
boundary value analysis. For example, we have one username field. This username field should take minimum 4 characters, maximum 12 characters. This is the customer requirement. Minimum 4 characters, maximum 444 characters. For example, if you get like if you get like this range kind of input, so we need to test this field. That means we need to take 440 inputs. We need to take 440 inputs. 5 characters, 4 characters, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like we need to take 440 characters. So it is very difficult for test engineer. Why? Because if we want to take 440 characters, it will take more time. Each and every time, once we need to take 4 characters, so once we need to take 5 characters, so once we need to take 6 characters. So like if you take 440 inputs, so if you want to test this field, it is very difficult. It's not very easy. So that time we will follow one technique, that is boundary value analysis. We will concentrate only on boundaries. We will concentrate only on boundaries. We will concentrate
Boundaries.
only on boundaries. So here we know lower bound is 4. Lower bound is 4. Lower bound minus 1.
3.
Lower bound plus 1.
Yeah.
Upper bound minus 1. Upper bound. Upper bound plus 1.
Upper bound plus 1. And
Sorry.
random value.
Yes. Lower bound minus 1, 3. Lower bound 4. Lower bound plus 1, 5.
5.
Upper bound minus 1, 443.
4, 4, 3.
Upper one,
4,
4,
4,
4, 4.
4. 4, 4, 5.
4, 4, 5. So we will take only this 5 values only. We will take only this 6 values only. We will take only this 6 values only. Once we will take 4, once we will take 3, once we will take 5, once we will take 443 characters, once we will take 444 characters, once we will take 445 characters. So whenever we are comparing the 440 inputs, we are taking only 6 inputs and we are doing testing. So that's why that is called boundary value analysis. We are concentrating only on boundaries. We are concentrating only on boundaries. So that's the reason
Boundaries.
it is a boundary value analysis. With the help of these 4 values, if you do testing, that is called valid inputs. These are valid inputs. These are valid inputs. These are valid inputs. With the help of valid inputs, if you do testing, that is called positive testing. With the help of valid inputs, if you do testing, that is called Positive testing. That is called positive testing. Lower bound minus 1 and upper bound plus 1. These are invalid inputs. With the help of invalid inputs, if you do testing, that is called negative testing. So here we are doing positive testing as well as negative testing also. So here we are following one technique and we are doing this work very easily. So we are not taking 440 inputs. We are taking only 6 inputs and we are
6
completing
input.
this work very easily, simply. We are concentrating only on boundaries and we are doing this work. So that's the reason we are calling it is a boundary value analysis. Boundary value analysis. We are concentrating only on boundaries, so that's the reason we can say it is a boundary value analysis. We can say it is a boundary value analysis, right? Next, ECP. ECP means equivalence class partition. Equivalence class partition. So for example, customer wants one application. In that application he want one username field. The username field should take minimum 4 characters, maximum 12 characters. All are alphabets only, small letters only. And we can take numeric values also. This is the customer requirement. Now we need to prepare the test data. We need to prepare the test data. One is valid inputs, second one is invalid input. Greater than 4 valid, less than 4 invalid, less than 12 valid, greater than 12 invalid. ABCD valid, caps ABCD invalid. 1 2 3 4 valid, special letters involved. So we will perform positive testing as well as negative testing. With the help of
Negative
valid
testing.
inputs, if you do testing, that is called positive testing. With the help of invalid inputs, if you do testing, that is called negative testing. So positive testing as well as negative testing, both we are doing. So this is equally we are partitioning valid data and invalid data. Both data we are preparing. So one is valid, other one is invalid. With the help of valid inputs, if you do testing, that is called positive testing. With the help of invalid inputs, if you do testing, that is called negative testing. Equally we are dividing. So that's why we can call it is a equivalence class partition. Equally we are dividing, so that's why we can call it is a equivalence class partition. Equally we are dividing, so that's why this is called equivalence class partition. Equally we are dividing the valid data, invalid data, that is called equivalence class partition. So these two techniques, whenever you are working with any software company, regularly we will use these two techniques wherever you go. If it is any software company, these two techniques are very important. Compulsory we should follow these two techniques and we can complete this work very easily. So this is equivalence class partitions.